Welcome back to the classroom. Come on in. No late pass required. So today we continue watching through the behind the scenes videos for the Legend of Vox Machina. We have watched through the legend of the story, the legend of the world, the legend of the design, and now we are to the legend of the voices, which I hope means that we're going to be looking into each of the different voice actors of this incredible show. But I'm not entirely sure because I see a couple videos down that we also have the legend of the cast. And so I'm curious to see what it is that they're talking about with the legend of the voices of the Legend of Vox Machina and how it differs from the cast. And so there's only one way to find out, which is to jump into this. So hey, leave a like if you're enjoying this content, comment down below on anything I might have missed while going through this or any information I might not know just from watching the video. And subscribe while you're at it, as it really does help out the channel a lot. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, the legend of the voices of the Legend of Vox Machina. Let's see what we got.
These episodes are just like the pure essence of the characters and what we did together.
It's a project unlike anything I've ever seen before.
Oh,
It's
I
so
love
weird
all
that
of
it's
them.
happening, but it's so cool.
I'm getting
Oh, they look a
impatient
little
for the
bit
final
different
thing to
this
get done
time
so people
around.
can see it and be as excited about it as we are.
Your minds are gonna be blown, y'all.
I wonder if this video was actually filmed a little bit after the others, because it looks like it's newer.
As a person that has been a lifelong fan of cartoons, it's kind of been a dream to work on one from a production standpoint, let alone from a voiceover standpoint, and kind
Well,
of marry
I
them all
mean,
together and have it be based on something
I can understand that.
kind of made up is crazy.
At the end of the day,
Matt,
the
you're
creators
such a
of this
nerd, and I
property
love you
are
for it.
professional voice actors, and seeing them working on their own disparate projects is cool. But seeing them all in one room together, it's so
I mean,
good.
it came
We're
through
just
so
a
well.
group of high-key nerds, but we also happen to be, good at what we do. It's like
Oh, hell yeah.
we make tables, except we are great with voice work and now just endless improv with each other.
Voice acting as a character
Yum.
that I created in a show that I helped create.
Oh,
It's
this
both
is the video
end
that's gonna
of a
make me
long
cry,
voice
isn't
acting
it?
journey and also the beginning of a new voice acting journey.
Give us a couple, rolling on 45.
Finding a director for this project was
Stop,
a challenge,
that's
partially
so
because we
cool.
have very good directors as part of our cast who do phenomenal work, but we all also understood that we wanted somebody outside of the room who could make us better than we could be on our own.
It was a
Matt.
very short list, and at the top of it,
Oh
of course,
my goodness, I freaking
our
love
good
you.
friend, Mary Elizabeth McGlynn.
I've been directing all of these
Mary
amazing
Elizabeth
actors
McGlynn.
for years. For me, creativity comes with trust, and I think we all trust each other enough to help bring out the
Aw,
best.
that's
in each other, And there's
fantastic.
enough respect there to make sure that this collaborative area is safe.
Beyond all of us just
Absolutely.
personally loving Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, you may remember her as Zara back in Campaign 1.
On top of just coming and doing,
Wait.
guest episodes for us, she actually
think I know
watched
that
the
character.
series. She would text us during the game and be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that just happened." So she knows who
Oh,
our
that's
characters are. And she knows where
fantastic.
they're going.
Wow, they
We didn't have to give her
really
any
just
kind of
know
information about her.
everybody.
She knows it and is part of it.
Those few episodes that I actually got to go on as Zara in Critical Role changed my life. It changed my perspective on so many things, and it taught me how important storytelling was.
It's been amazing watching her come into each one of the sessions, settle us down, get our minds in the right space for where the episode is, and then just step back with her baton and just start to conduct the symphony of idiots that's in there.
Man,
When
I
we
wish I was a
started
part
whole
of this
thing,
world.
playing
This is so
tabletop
cool.
Around Matt's dining room table, we were all gathered together, the 8 of us, in a room face to face. And now recording the cartoon, we are all 8 of us in a room together, and we are creating a story together, just us 8 friends.
Everybody at a mic
Wow.
in one room, and that energy was electric.
Oh, I don't doubt it for a second.
Stepping into that booth the first time was obviously very, very exciting. I think all of us were like, "Is this a joke? Is someone like pulling a prank on us?" We were giddy with excitement.
I would
Joy
be too.
and elation that was in that room was something that still is carried through every aspect of this process.
The energy in the room when we're recording is just like it was in those early days.
Oh my
when
goodness,
we were
I
making each other laugh,
love
cracking each other
all
up,
of that.
laughing at each other's mistakes and flubs. It's
an interesting, strange mix between extremely professional and a very filthy preschool where everyone's swearing all the time.
You know, we've all been in the booth with each other in various ways in the past anyway, but it's so different when it's something that you've created.
I've
Oh,
never
without
been
question.
part of a show where the main cast were also more or less producers. So
Yeah.
we have an intense amount of control with what happens.
So the
At
challenge
the same time,
for
it
me
really
with
just
this
seemed
was
like
to
they trust her.
distance them all from that and have them all be in the moment in the studio and just to let them run with it.
Mary
Yes.
is so in tune with the actors.
Give us one more version that's got a little of that Scanlan bounce. Less earnest.
She knows
Less
exactly how
earnest.
to get us out of the comfort zones of our character, which I think is important. We know these characters so well that I think sometimes
absolutely.
I can get in our own way.
Having her ideas and her overall creative view and lathering that in with ours has helped us elevate our performances and bring it to the best version of it can be.
3, 2, 1.
Not all animation allows actors to record in group settings, but
Oh
it
yeah.
invariably gives
I watched
more
a lot
nuanced
of behind the
performance
scenes
and also
stuff.
provides a better opportunity for chemistry to happen in the group.
Well,
We'd all been
absolutely.
imagining it, and it was just as much fun and inspiring and beautiful a thing as we thought it would be.
Lightning in a fucking bottle just happening every time we got in the studio.
Oh, I
was,
love her.
Just the greatest thing ever. And we got to do it a couple times.
And then the pandemic hit.
And then everything, of course,
that-
fell apart everywhere.
Yeah, I was about to say, I see some footage from before and some footage
this
after.
is where I have been doing my twinning.
Recording studio. This is legit.
This is where the magic happens.
Aww.
We found that we quickly had to go remote, just like everyone else.
Now we do everything on Zoom through either Source Connect or IPDTL.
For us on the voiceover side, we were partially prepared for that. Most of us have some kind of a rig set up at home so that we can audition.
I mean, I personally had put off trying to make a good home booth for myself for years, but then suddenly, like, the world shut down, and it's
You
funny
had
what
to.
a little panic will do.
Oh, I would love a little
I had to
room to
completely
do exactly
re-overhaul my
that.
office in the period of a couple weeks to make it a studio.
We tried to find the area of our house that was most insulated, something that didn't share an exterior wall. And for us, that was our closet and our bedroom. It
That
already
checks.
works because most of the clothes in your closet act as a natural dampener.
Once
Oh, that's true.
into the darkness. It was definitely hard not to feel concerned that we might be losing a piece of the magic by having to switch to a remote recording
jeez.
session.
I really miss being able to do it all together. But thankfully, a lot of us came up in video games, so we're used to the solo recording experience, and a lot of us can still deliver at the top of our game without having other people there to play off of.
We record each individual actor from
Oh,
home,
geez.
usually one at a time, but sometimes 2 or 3 people can record together via the magic of online communication.
So
Which
if
is
there
that-
are
that's
scenes
awesome
where
that we
you
at least had
really
a little
want
bit of
that
that.
more conversational dynamic between 2 actors, we've done sessions where Liam will stay on the Zoom call with me and he is reading his lines. That way Keyleth sounds the most genuine in her response.
Does like
to
all
him.
of the
Even though
reactions and
we're
whatnot.
separate, there are some positives to it.
Since we're recording individually remotely from different locations, we can talk over each other all we want. And it's getting picked up on 2 separate mics and the audio is
Oh,
totally
yeah,
clean.
that
You
does
can
check.
have a little bit more of a natural read almost.
What did I say? It's not like I suggested we take a bath together or something.
What?
So you get a much more fun
Where were
time
those
with improvisation
lines?
and laughing and reacting.
I want
and
those
it's
lines.
live and it's real. So I see that as one of the great silver linings of having to do everything at home.
The other thing it sort of affords us is we get to go back and fix anything that we think is bad.
Oh,
so like
right.
Liam will watch an episode of the show and be like, ooh, I wish I could redo that line. And we're like, hey, guess what? You can. You own a microphone.
Oh, yeah, that's
go
true.
record it.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I can potentially spend 10 minutes on a single line doing 15 takes because I just want to make sure that it's perfect, and we're always our own worst critic.
It's turned a lot of really
without
good
a
scenes
doubt.
into excellent scenes.
We've all been forced to readjust, but we've all taken that challenge.
Normally in a project like this, you're kind of in the dark about things, but we all know what we're doing, what everybody else is capable of.
It also helps that we've played these
that's a good
characters
point.
a zillion times.
Well, yes.
Performance-wise, I don't know if it has affected anything other than me just consciously knowing that I'm in a closet.
It's weird to say it doesn't feel that different.
We've adjusted because what else can you do?
Thankfully, we do still have table reads, so we still get to like read it together before we record. I kind of miss being able to go and engage with the development teams and the artists in person and kind of have that around the table, designer meetings throughout the week, and it's all just Zoom screens now.
I think one of the most rewarding things for us has been casting and recording these characters that we have enjoyed and loved coming out of Matthew Mercer's mouth, but obviously because of reasons, we need to find new voices for them.
I still want to hold on to some characters that I feel a connection with, so I am excited to be coming in as Silas Briarwood.
Absolutely.
Beyond that, popping up here and there is all sorts of random characters and NPCs in the world.
There will definitely be some voices you will not be surprised to hear. Can't talk about so many things yet, but it's going to be great.
When it comes right down to it, we love acting with our voices, whether it's in radio commercials or video games or our own animated series. So
it's so cool seeing them get so excited about this.
And soul into every recording of every line.
It's crazy that we've got to make this amazing show that I cannot wait for people to see in little pods all by ourselves.
It's still coming together just much more slowly, and it still sounds so good.
Look, every project has love behind it, and I know that you can feel it, but there's something special about this. There's something special about this.
Without question.
The epic level of this show, I think, is going to blow people away. It was what we were hoping for, and then we quickly realized that even we had to raise our level of expectation because we can.
We want this to be a love letter to all the people that supported us through all this time and made all of this possible.
I'm a critter too, so I'm as much of a fan as you guys are. So I think
I can see the excitement.
I can't wait for people to see it. It's so cool.
Everything that's being brought to the table performance-wise is going to level people.
There have been challenges, but I think we've all kind of risen to the task of making sure that it didn't prevent us from making this the best show we could make it.
I know it's been a long wait for the fans. Trust me, it's worth it.
Oh, yeah. That was more than worth it. I'll tell you that much right now. So, before I get fully into this particular video here, I want to talk a little bit about some of my background that many of you might not know. So, my master's degree, I went into a field known as Educational Technology Specialist, which is a very fancy way of saying that, like, when the pandemic hit, I was probably one of the most well prepared for going remote, as much of what I did was learning about a variety of different types of technology to help in educational means. And I will say that right now it was, the pandemic, in terms of like some positive things that happened, like all of this content creation that I do would not have happened if the pandemic didn't happen. Like, I remember I got the last of the stuff that I wanted to have to start making content the day that everything shut down. Like, I got my second monitor and I got my stream deck the day that everything shut down. And once everything shut down, like, nobody knew what to do. And so, like, for me, like, while it was an aggressive struggle in terms of a lot of my own mental health, especially with the socialization, because for me, I am a natural extrovert. I love being around other people, and I didn't have that. And so what I turned to was a lot of technology, and one of the things that I did was a D&D game over voice chat, over video chat. And that even stems back to much like a time before the pandemic when I was still in school. My master's degree, when I did my sort of like master's thesis in a way, like it was my final culminating project. I was looking into utilizing games as a form of literature and looking at it as a way to educate students in literacy, because D&D has such a foundation in so many areas of literacy, and especially in English language arts and the curriculum that you see across the country, specifically the United States, for those of my viewers who are outside of the country. And for a while, this was a dream of mine. Like I looked into a variety of areas to kind of determine what would work well to kind of mold all of my interest areas into this one solid, cohesive thing. And I found that through taking all of the games and technology that I enjoyed and meshing it together with the English language arts component, which is probably why you can see like I enjoy these reactions so much, because you see me kind of taking components from each of those worlds, like, you know, taking the review, the critic, the analysis portion of the ELA standards and curriculum, and kind of folding it in with the technology component, and me being able to mess around with all of this software, all of this tech, all of these videos and editing and whatnot, but also the love of D&D and games as a whole, because, you know, at the end of the day, my content creation career started with games. And as such, like, you know, this particular video hit a little closer to home because I focused a lot on D&D as a part of my graduation from my master's program, looking into how I can use D&D in an educational fashion. And I got to do exactly that. I wrote and like created this entire campaign all by myself. It was something that just came to mind one day, and I said, I'm going to turn this into a story. I'm going to turn this into an entire world that multiple generations of characters are going to be able to inhabit and feel this connection to the world, the connection to these characters that they create. Something that, you know, I've aspired to do for some time, that these incredible people who have managed to make these incredible stories with Critical Role were able to fulfill their dreams, be in the same room together, or not be in the same room together and instead be in closets, making an animated show all together. Like, that's the dream right there. And, you know, so many students, like I even have students now that I run D&D games for, and they keep on asking, when's the next game? Like, I want to know more. And when it comes to me, like being a DM, I don't hold back. I do all the voices. I get all the narratives going. I want investment. I want engagement. And that's whether I'm working with students or I'm working with friends, working with family, whoever that may be. And, you know, for these guys here doing the voices in the show, like this is a family that has grown together. And you can see like the interaction between all of these different people is, as they mentioned, nothing short of electric. The energy that they have in that studio together is like, many people might not understand, but coming from some of the top games that I've ever been in or run when it comes to D&D, like, I can understand. I still tell stories about all of the different shenanigans that some of our characters got into, and my students think it's so cool whenever I slip into a different voice of a character that I used to play or a role that I used to do as a DM. And I, you know, like this entire world, like this video in particular really spoke to me a lot. You know, early on in my Twitch career, like I'm talking like maybe 20 followers at most, with like maybe like 1 or 2 people watching, mostly being my wife and my mother. Not to take anything away from them, because you know they've been some of the biggest supporters from the very beginning up till now. I ran a D&D game over Twitch, and like the feeling that many of these guys are having here, like it was something that I was going through every week that I was running this game. And while it didn't end up panning out, you know, the group dynamic, like they didn't have as much passion for it as I had wanted them to. They just did not want to continue playing online. Like they really were focused on trying to play in person at all costs. It unfortunately led to them all playing in person and then almost all of them getting COVID at the same time. I stayed very clear of that for obvious reasons, but it made it a lot more challenging. But at the same time, like it was because of a lot of that I got interested in the potential for voice acting. It's something that many of my students nowadays tell me, like, were you ever a voice actor? I feel like I've heard your voice before. And I'm like, no, I've never been a voice actor. I just am able to do certain voices pretty well. And they're like, well, you know what? You should try it, because you'd be really good at it. And I would watch anything that you would do a voice for. And that right there, like, I can feel myself welling up a little bit, because like theater has always been like an integral part of my life. And you know, after high school, I struggled to find what my theatrical career was going to look like. You know, I dipped out of doing musicals for a while. I did improv for a while, loved that. Once again had like a bit of like a group falling out, as you know, the group unfortunately got a little too political, and it took away from just the fact that I just wanted to act. And as such, like I didn't do theatrical things for a while, but thankfully, like doing this content creation, doing YouTube videos, doing Twitch streams, I've been able to kind of hone in on those theatrical components again, and be able to experiment with different voices, experiment with different personas, be able to like do all these different things. And as such, like it's kind of reinvigorated my interest in doing these things, and watching them being able to do all of this voice acting. Like this is a world that I wish that I was more of a part of, and seeing them enjoy what they're doing so much, especially because they're getting into it with people that they enjoy. Man, it would be so cool to one day, even if it was just something small, being able to say like, hey, this show right here, I did that voice for that character. And who knows, you know, I'm only 28 years old. There's a very real possibility that, you know, within the next 10 years, I end up voicing a character for a cartoon series even similar to this one. Oh man, if I swear, if I ever voice a character for The Legend of Vox Machina, like I'll tell you right now, like I feel like I need to make like a deal with all of you guys, a deal with myself, and just like basically say like, if I do a voice for Legend of Vox Machina, if I ever play a game with them, if I ever do anything even remotely related to this show, to these creators, you know what? I'm gonna donate a serious amount of money to a charity that you know, affects those in need in terms of maybe socio-emotional learning, especially those like who really need to play D&D. I know there's like there's a particular charity, it's like Extra Life, I think, is the one that they did a yeah, that's the one right there, Extra Life charity. It's one that the folks over at Critical Role have looked at many times before. Yes, that's exactly the one. I remember actually I made a very small contribution when they came by at the mall that I used to live by, and I remember I still have a die that they gifted me as a part of that, and I still use it. Like, I might have a full set of matching dice, but like, that has a die that I still hold so near and dear. It's got a little controller with wings on it, and I think that's only fair. Like, if it ends up becoming like a big thing where I'm able to voice a character in this show, you know, whether it be like something similar to the likes of you know, Grog. You know, I have a very similar voice to that one. Or maybe even like a little bit of a crazier character with this other voice that I used to do for many of these other games that I used to play in. Like, I find so much joy in doing all of this, and to see these just glorified nerds being able to mess around in a studio or in the closet voicing these characters that they have such passion for. Like, I just have to say, like, props to them. Like, this is the dream. Like, this is the dream job right here. Like, it's so cool. And, you know, to all the people involved in Critical Role here, in The Legend of Vox Machina, the voice director Mary Elizabeth McGlynn, like McGlynn, sorry, I apologize for not pronouncing her name correctly there, but like, it's just like, all of them are just fantastic. Laura Bailey, Travis Billingham, Marisha Ray, Matt Mercer, Taliesin Jaffe, Ashley Johnson, Sam Riegel, Liam O'Brien, and all of the other like minor voice actors. And I can't even say minor without even just one of the iconic characters that we have. Like, we don't have the show that we got. And it's just so happy to see that, like, the people who needed to be in this are the people who are exactly. And so those are all my thoughts. I know a little longer winded than what I usually do with these videos, but it was something that I really had to talk about, as it was very relevant to what it was that we were looking at in this video. So if you stuck around this long, thank you so much for listening to a little bit of my ranting here. I appreciate it a lot. In the meantime, though, if you enjoyed even like a little bit of my rant, feel free to leave a like, comment down below on any of your experiences with D&D, voice acting, theater, anything involving games in general. If you happen to do something in your career with games or voice acting, I would love to hear all about it. Like, that just sounds like so cool. I would love to have a connection with more of you on that. And if I missed anything, make sure to also leave a comment about that, as I love having conversations with all of you. And subscribe to the channel while you're at it, as it really does help out a lot. Like, you guys have really made this a reality, like a potential path that I can take. And, you know, as we saw with Pike, we walk one path or another, and this is the path that I chose. And I'm sticking to it, whether you like it or not. You're not getting rid of me anytime soon. But in the meantime, class, you are officially dismissed. I will see you in the next video. See you in the next one, guys.